this is like TV, just one program after the other. So now I have the next presenter ready, and that is Benjamin Meyers. He has been, where is he? Oh, there. Oh. So Benjamin Meyers, he's a graduate from Berkeley. We need to close the laptop, Emil. No presentation. And light in the room.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Light room is great.
In environmental science and management, is that correctly remembered?
Ecosystem sciences.
Ecosystem sciences.
Yeah.
And what triggered us in the organizing group about his work is that it was inspired by something that someone called Rick Pacer,
Yeah.
named as the pre-competitive collaborative spirit, so that you actually, as different brands or different roasters in this, or different organizations, can work together on projects that contribute to the common good. So this is why it was really intriguing, and we're glad to get him over here to tell us a little bit about a bit more about also the myth about the trade secret that even in our little community is thriving quite well, I think, and maybe put some holes through that one. Okay, welcome, Ben Meyers.
Yeah, thank you. Did this work all right? Yeah? So I didn't prepare a PowerPoint presentation. I prepared myself kind of cascading in from some tightrope wires, wearing a cape, and there was supposed to be fog, but I guess that budget got cut for this year. So I'm just going to kind of stand up here and tell you some things about myself and about the organization that I'm currently working for. And I'm kind of going to drift over here and do some reading as well. I know that can kind of come off as a little bit boring. But I'll try my best to stay engaging and stay fun and make this, somewhat of an activity that's that awakens you. So my name is Ben Meyers, and I founded a roasting company called Thousand Faces Coffee about 10 years ago. It's based in Athens, Georgia. About a year ago, I opened up a donut shop in Asheville, North Carolina. And about 6 months ago, I decided to become the president of the board of directors of a nonprofit called the Chain Collaborative. And that's what I'm here kind of presenting on behalf of. So I did my studies at UC Berkeley, and I focused on kind of systems ecology. So this is kind of the understanding that everything in life is connected. So you might find my speech a little bit to kind of be all over the place, and you're like, what the hell is this guy talking about now? You know what I mean? Or you might say, Ben really needs to slow down. But I can guarantee you, at the end, it'll begin to make some sense, and everything will be connected. So about 6 months ago, kind of upon returning from some coffee travels, I was informed that my father had passed away. And, this was, for me, my hero, my mentor, somebody who just, meant the world to me. And I found the experience to be kind of emotionally overwhelming. I'm sure that any of you who have had a loved one pass away, you can identify with this experience. It's just it's something that I can't really describe, and I still haven't captured the words to describe, but I found myself kind of, breaking down in public. I was like, crying in front of people, and I'm not really like a crier, so it was like, Jesus, I gotta go somewhere, So I took myself out into the woods, and I decided, I'm gonna be out in nature, and I'm gonna, sit here all night long and just, be present with nature. And that was one of the gifts that my father gave me. He was always into Krishnamurti and into kind of Indian spirituality and spiritualities from around the world. And he was always, say, be present, listen, show up, be aware of what's going on. So that kind of, present-minded awareness was something that I took with me out into the forest. And I began to out there in the darkness, think to myself, about kind of my history in coffee and my place, like what was I doing? I was, at Berkeley, I had a nice little career going. I was teaching a course at Berkeley. I was advancing as a social worker, as a facilitator. I had a good job. And then all of a sudden something kind of spoke to me, and it said, I learned about this project in Ecuador where these two environmental conservation experts were going to preserve this huge biological corridor from the top of the mountains into the sea, and they needed somebody to open up a coffee roasting business in order to purchase the coffee at a premium. And for some reason that just clicked for me, and I quit my job in Berkeley, and I drove all the way across the United States to a little town called Athens, Georgia. It's where REM is from, and it's got a great music scene, but it's not a real dynamic market in the United States. And I decided, I would open up a coffee roaster, and that's what I would do. So I took all the money I had, which wasn't very much, might have been like, well, I'm not even going to get into that. But I bought a coffee roaster, and somehow I bought a container of coffee from Ecuador. Okay? So I had no experience roasting coffee. I'd never worked in coffee. I never pulled a shot of coffee. I knew absolutely nothing about coffee, other than it was something that was fun to drink. But here I was going to start this coffee roasting business, had this coffee from Ecuador, and I was going to hit the market and take over the world. And also to support that kind of solid foundation, I had no experience in business whatsoever. So I had no idea how to develop a brand, or how to look cool, or how to service an espresso machine, or how to train baristas. I knew nothing. So needless to say, the experience of developing 1,000 Faces over the past 10 years has taught me a lot of lessons. I learned those kind of the hard way, and I want to use those for good. I want to, hold on, I'm just finding my place here. I want to take the experiences of kind of launching this kind of mission-based roaster, and I want to do some good with the Chain Collaborative, with developmental work, and supporting the roasting community in how to approach developmental work. And so I'm going to kind of start to read a little bit. So the last couple of years I've spent many hours researching and studying collaboration, sharing knowledge in the coffee industry. The central theme of my work has resulted in 3 published articles exploring non-linear ways the coffee professional can improve outcomes. In writing The Power of Slow, Harnessing the Power of Collaboration, and Shared Interest, those are the titles of the pieces. You can find them all on PDFs online through Roast magazine. I conducted hundreds of interviews with coffee professionals around the world, and noticed the central theme amongst us. I realized that I was not alone in my irrational origins with coffee, that many of our industry's greatest contributors had similar irrational decisions to begin the heroic journey of working in coffee. Be it for dreams of saving the world, or for simply following their passions, coffee has in one way or another spoken to us. Coffee has whispered in our ear and convinced us all, against sound advice otherwise, to be present to her needs, to cultivate its essence, and work our damnedest to help others blind to its majestic powers, to love and cherish coffee in an unending multitude of ways. From farms in Rwanda, research in Colombia, representing equipment companies here. Coffee has us working for her. From a genetic standpoint, we know that coffee is remarkably complex. Though the more we spend time building relations at origin, we come face to face with even a greater form of complexities. From human rights issues in coffee communities such as water and food security, gender inequalities, post-war violence, and systemic poverty, to environmental concerns such as deforestation, soil degradation, and animal habitat destruction, otherwise healthy ecosystems have been destroyed by our commercialization and industrialistic approach to natural systems. More often than not, we as coffee professionals are driven by love for crafting exceptional coffee and find ourselves somewhat awkwardly thrust up against this daunting host of developmental crises. Not a single one of us is equipped to address all these issues. The specialty coffee roaster is tasked with an entire pantheon of gods to serve in conducting our respective brand identities. Today's specialty coffee roaster is tasked with booking forward purchasing contracts in a historically unpredictable market. We must manage technological upkeep of know-how of roasting and brewing methodologies, write alluring marketing appeal, copy for products from multiple geographies around the world, establish new sales channels, attend conferences, cup coffees, dial-in shots, hire talent, retain talent, sign leases, websites, trainings. The list goes on and on. And I'm here to tell you that in itself is good and meaningful work. And I believe that this is kind of what the coffee spirit wants us to do. It wants you to do. Coffee wants for you to protect its beauty in an ever-unfolding repetition of ways, be it flavor modulation or Q grader certs. This is what coffee wants. Though still it is possible as a human being to feel more. It is possible to have deep-rooted desire to do something to address these crises in our field. For this too is the voice of coffee. We love coffee, we want to protect it. We want to protect its people, its lands, and the communities living by its harvest. So the question might be asked, how does today's coffee professional approach developmental work at origin? In 2012, during my first trip to Ethiopia, while drinking coffee at a roadside cafe, an Ethiopian man turned to me and gave me the answer. Coffee connects people, he said. If I could distill one core emergent property of coffee, it would be that it brings us together. Coffee wants to connect us as human beings. Coffee wants us to collaborate, to be with one another. So a good maxim for the modern coffee professional approaching developmental work would be this: become more of who you are, with more people. So I agreed to come speak here today on sharing information and the myth of the trade secret. Specialty coffee is a young industry, and it has a longer narrative, primarily of misinformation and oppression of ideas. We have collectively reimagined our value chain over the past 10 to 20 years, where we now value transparency and innovation. For good reason, we have come to understand the financial, social, and environmental benefits of collaboration. But what is collaboration? How does standing in solidarity and farmer advocacy work get done? Can trade get to the point where we feel the power has been balanced? Collaborations happens when you show up, when you be present, when you listen, when you use language that is welcoming and encouraging. It is here that we can share resources, schematics, and our shortfalls to understand the true story. Trade secrets, on the other hand, are the false stories. They are encapsulated in the ego and fear. And there's a tacit understanding with a trade secret that if I trade my resource with you, then I will no longer exist, or I will no longer thrive. Or quite the opposite is true. As you grow, we grow. Michael Tomasello at the Max Planck Institute of Evolutionary Anthropology distills collaboration down to this: without collaborative behavior, no life would exist. In 2015, Nora Berkeley and Mike Mortson developed an organization called the Chain Collaborative. The Chain Collaborative is a great new resource in the developmental sector for engaging as a coffee professional or coffee-focused business in development work at origin. We believe that through partnership and collaboration, we can facilitate social, environmental, economic, and quality-focused initiatives in the coffee lands. Projects have a greater and more sustainable impact when we pull resources together and encourage collaboration in order to reach common goals. We are a resource for both nonprofits in the coffee lands and coffee professionals who understand the importance of value chain development. We connect, organize, and empower programming in the Coffee Commons. But we need you, and we need your engagement. Specialty coffee is constantly changing and creating. We are getting to know our producers better and better, and we have a growing interest in effective ways to contribute to coffee's health and well-being, beyond fair trade price or direct trade marketing programming. Shared economies are thriving in other sectors. Airbnb, Uber, Wikipedia have changed the way we look at the market. Peer-to-peer information sharing has clearly written on the wall that if you're not encouraging sharing platforms, then you are falling behind. I see the Chain Collaborative as an opportunity for a single clear voice for research, proposals, grant implementation, evaluation, and coffee development commons. The single biggest barrier to collaboration is the challenge of getting people in the same room. So please make some time to connect with us, and we can help you. That's the write-up that I did. So the Chain Collaborative is a brand new nonprofit. We're about a year and a half old, and we're still developing ourselves. I've kind of joined the board of directors as the president. We have about six members of our organization right now. We have about 9 projects going on around the world where we're collaborating with a lot of different organizations to get some development work done. We're tracking a lot of our progress right now, and we're building good systems. And it was my goal to come out here and to connect with your guys' community here and to share this organization with you, and with the hope that, one or two of you might kind of reach out to me and say, I might be interested in getting involved with this. Our company is interested in getting, doing better development work, but we have our focuses. We're roasting coffee, and we've got a lot to take care of. Can you support us with this? And that's kind of the role that we hope to fill in the marketplace, is to really take kind of developmental onus off the hands of kind of roasters and put it in the hands of professionals, and kind of connect the international roasting community to the international nonprofit community that's working in these coffee lands. So
how would you practically go about with it? How do you make the collaboration with, say, the roaster or the brand, and how do you sort of practically, what's ABC?
Yeah, so can we pull up the website? Is that a possibility? We'll pull up the website, and that's a good resource for going to and kind of connecting a little bit more with our various programming opportunities. The kind of couple A, B, and C kind of techniques that we have going on right now is we're encouraging what we call as a coffee residency, where a coffee shop might kind of host a program right now. For example, my donut shop, Vortex Donuts, we're doing a coffee residency, and we're giving a percentage of our sales to On the Ground, which is doing a school building opportunity in Ethiopia. It's connected also through some other companies as well. We also are kind of putting forward like a regional roasters consortium, and there's PDFs that explain these a lot better online.
Yeah, it's not that easy.
Okay. Well, the website is it's thechaincollaborative.org, and you know, if you'd like to learn more about it, I encourage you to reach out through that and connect with us. Yeah, there it is.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah. So like I said, the organization, we have an executive director right now. Her name's Nora Berkeley. You might have seen her work in Barista Magazine or Roast Magazine or on the Daily Coffee News. We've got some good press in our first year. But we're really just kind of coming together right now and forming the systems. My job as president is just kind of, you know, facilitating a good sustainable growth of the organization. So when it comes down to a lot of the project specifics, I wouldn't be the best to get into those, as Nora would be a little bit more equipped there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you very much, Ben.
Yeah, thank you.